Hello, or how it's said in Dutch. Hoi, my name is Audrey, and I'll be giving an introduction of the Notch Cafe. Before I start with this, I want to introduce myself first. So, I'm Audrey, I'm 21 years old, and I have followed the honors program Project International Global Leadership Abroad Tampa for the past 6 months. During our honors program, the focus was on the sustainable development goals of the United Nations and organizing a Notch Cafe. The final product of this honors program is the Global Leadership magazine with contributions of the students regarding sustainability issues, which were discussed in Notch Cafe and were researched during the program. Unfortunately, due to the circumstances of COVID-19, we had to organize a virtual Knowledge Cafe rather than a physical Knowledge Cafe. But I'll explain how we did that later on. During our Knowledge Cafe, the following questions stood central. What measures can global leaders, like policymakers, students, or even regular citizens, take to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals by 2030? So, as I previously mentioned, I will give an introduction to the Knowledge Cafe, what it is, why it's important, and how to arrange it, especially in this time. The man in the picture is David Gerting. David Gerting used to attend a series of knowledge management talks called the coffee machine, and it's not the coffee machine that you see here on the slide. According to him, the speaker would have far too many PowerPoint slides, making the talk very long and very boring. These speakers would overrun their speaking time, leaving little or no space for a Q&A. David Gerting called it death by PowerPoint. For David Gerting, the time spent at the pub afterward was when the real learning took place. He wanted to do something different, and the idea of a more conversational event started to take shape in his mind, and that was an early design for the Noise Cafe he created. Before this design, David Gerting took the time to look at the World Cafe process and experience it, and he found a lot in common with his Knowledge Cafe. With this, David Gerting learned to develop his facilitation style into being more about a conversational host. David Gerting ran his first Knowledge Cafe on the 5th of September in 2002 at the Strand Palace Hotel in London. Within 12 months, he ran 10 Knowledge Cafes in London, including a Knowledge Barbecue at the University of Greenwich. In Zurich's Knowledge Cafe in 2006, David Gerting saw the real power of conversation itself instead of only the Knowledge Cafe. In 2008, David Gerting ran his first Knowledge Cafe masterclass in London, where he taught people how to design and run cafes for themselves. So, what is a knowledge cafe? A knowledge cafe is an event where people share knowledge, ideas, and insights in a relaxed and also in a formal way. Every knowledge cafe should be designed for a specific purpose or intent, which should be a well defined purpose or intent, but it shouldn't have a planned or desired or a preconceived outcome. So the outcome is instead emergent. During a nice cafe, people come together in small groups to have open, creative conversations on the topic of mutual interest, surface their collective knowledge, share ideas, and gain a deeper understanding of the issues involved. The opportunities to move between tables, meeting new people, actively contribute thinking, and linking discoveries to ever widening circles of thought is one of the main characteristics of the Knowledge Cafe. Knowledge cafes can also be used in various ways to improve conversations within organizations, such as transforming meetings, to give people a voice, to share knowledge and learn from each other, to connect people and build relationships, and also to surface hidden problems and opportunities. So, a knowledge cafe is basically a structured conversational process for knowledge sharing in which groups of people discuss a topic at several tables, with individuals switching tables and getting introduced to the previous discussion at the new table by a so-called table host. In November 2020, I invited David Gertie to one of our honors meetings, and he told us the following. A knowledge cafe is a conversational process that brings a group of people together to share experiences, learn from each other, build relationships, and make a better sense of a rapidly changing world to improve decision making, innovation, and how they work together. Well, our lives have changed quite a bit lately. We attend our meetings online, we follow our studies online, we even need to work online. Since it was not possible for us to go to Tampa, we had to adapt our knowledge cafe to the current circumstances. Organizing a knowledge cafe is a challenge in itself because you want everything to be well organized. The fact that the Knowledge Cafe was online and the students living in different time zones made it even more challenging than it already was. In order to organize a Knowledge Cafe, you have to determine the main topic, identify the main theme or themes, invite participants, identify and select students who can be the table host and can assure that each table has a meaningful and relevant question, and choose a room large enough to allow all participants to move freely. Well, instead of choosing a room, you have to create a Zoom meeting and select a convenient time for the attendees. Our Nosh Cafe, for example, started at 4 p.m. Tampa time, which was 10 p.m. for me here in the Netherlands. In order to have a virtual Nosh Cafe, you need to have the following settings enabled on Zoom. Number one is breakout rooms. We had to make sure to have a list of the participants to place the students together in breakout rooms since there were students from different universities. And number two is co-host. It is important to have another person assigned as a co-host just in case something happens. Because what if you're experiencing network problems? What if you're talking, but there are people still waiting in the waiting room? What if you're not able to share your screen? To have one or two co-hosts is essential for these reasons. We also had to make sure that each table host knew what to do to continue conversation flow, because conversation flow is very important. You have to have conversation in order to learn something. So we made an instruction. In this instruction, the table host knew what to do and what not to do. And that is also important. Well, why should you organize a Noise Cafe? Well, you should organize a Noise Cafe if it is your goal to bring a group of people together, to have a conversation, to gain a deeper understanding of a topic, to have collective knowledge, to learn from each other, to share ideas and insights, and to improve interpersonal relationships, trust, and engagement. A Noise Cafe is the way to bring a group of people together to have a conversation on a topic of mutual interest to better understand an issue, but it can easily be adapted for various purposes. And at its best, it's a powerful sense making tool. A Nudge Cafe can also help to connect people, improve interpersonal relationships, and break down organizational defenses. And most importantly, improve trust and engagement. A Nudge Cafe helps to some principles that helps create a relaxed, informal, and conversational environment to open dialogue and learning. So it is important to participate in and organize a noise cafe to encourage and nurture conversations, to share ideas and best practices, to share knowledge, and to give people a voice. Organizing a Noise Cafe takes time, planning, and patience. It is not something that you can prepare in an hour. Therefore, make a clear overview of what needs to be done and for when. And also keep in mind the fundamental principles of the Noise Cafe, because it is all about the conversation. You should create a safe space where conversation can flourish. You have to remember that everyone is equal, because as I just said, a Noise Cafe, it's important to participate in organized Noise Cafe, to give people a voice. So you have to remember that everyone is equal. Everyone should be able to talk in a conversation. Everyone should be able to giving that opportunity. You should also be prepared to emerge a slightly different person. You have to remember that a real conversation takes place in small groups. So make groups of 5 people or something like that in a breakout room or at a table when we're not dealing with COVID. Conversation flow should not be interrupted. That's also what you have to keep in mind. Share knowledge, learn from each other. That's the most important thing. Connecting people and building relationships based on these conversations and gaining a better understanding of a complicated issue. Well, if you want to know more details about how we organize our Noise Cafe, you can contact the portfolio manager of the Honors Education at my school, Ms. Fanny Nathan-Janikowska. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope I will see you in real life when it's not COVID. And other than that, bye for now.